There is a quiet power in restraint, a power most people never understand because they are too busy revealing, too busy seeking validation, too busy exposing themselves to the judgment of others. Yet the truly wise among us know that the world respects only what is guarded, only what is controlled. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "It is not the things themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them." And so, the first thing a wise person keeps private is silence becomes your greatest ally. If the first secret of the wise is to guard their plans, the second is to wield silence as a weapon, a shield, and a source of untouchable power. In a world consumed by noise, social media clamor, constant opinions, relentless debates, those who understand the art of discretion are the ones who rise above. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, reminds us, "Nowhere can a man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own mind." And so, the wise retreat first inwards before speaking outwards, allowing their silence to speak louder than the voices around them. Silence is not weakness, it is not emptiness, it is intentional, deliberate, and profoundly commanding. The unwise fill every space with chatter, attempting to control perception through words alone, revealing their thoughts, their emotions, their fears in the process. But the wise understand that words are fragile. They can be twisted, stolen, or weaponized. By choosing silence, the wise maintain sovereignty over themselves and the narrative that surrounds them. Seneca wrote, "It is the power of the mind to be unconquerable, not the volume of speech that impresses." To remain silent is to protect the boundaries of our mind, our focus, and our peace. There is also a subtle magnetism in silence, an attraction rooted in mystery. When a person speaks less, they force the world to pay attention not to their words, but to their actions. People notice a calm presence, an unshakable demeanor, a man or woman who is not easily ruffled by gossip, criticism, or provocation. Silence becomes a signal, a mark of control, confidence, and self-possession. We do not need validation. Our quiet strength validates itself. Epictetus said, "Make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest as it happens." Silence is precisely that, the use of our power without surrendering to the distractions of others. Moreover, silence sharpens perception. When we do not constantly fill the air with words, our senses become attuned to the undercurrents of reality, the motives hidden in others' gestures, the subtle shifts of energy in a room, the whispers of opportunity that the noisy cannot hear. The wise listen first, then act. They do not react immediately to every stimulus. Their mind, unclouded by needless commentary, remains clear, precise, and unassailable. In a toxic world where impulse governs behavior, silence is the rare armor that keeps us safe and strategic. However, wielding silence requires discipline. It is not merely refraining from speaking. It is restraining the impulse to justify, to explain, to demand acknowledgement. It is a daily practice of self-mastery, choosing what to reveal, when to reveal it, and what must remain forever private. This discipline is profoundly liberating. The world cannot hurt what it cannot reach, cannot sway what it cannot touch, and cannot manipulate what remains hidden. Our energy is conserved for what truly matters: our growth, our actions, our pursuit of virtue. Ultimately, silence is both protection and power. It preserves the integrity of the mind while projecting an aura of control and respect. It is a force that cannot be bought, borrowed, or broken. The silent man or woman commands attention not by volume, but by gravity. The world, desperate for noise, inevitably underestimates them, unaware that the quiet are often the most formidable. We must embrace silence not as absence, but as presence. It is the quiet assertion that we are in control, that we are unshaken, and that the storms outside will not penetrate the calm within. To speak less is to master more, to act more decisively, to observe more profoundly, to live more powerfully. This is the way of the Stoic in a world that mistakes noise for strength. And so, we cultivate silence, not as isolation, not as avoidance, but as a conscious declaration that our inner world is untouchable, that our power is ours alone, and that we will not surrender it to the chaos that surrounds us. In silence, we are free. In silence, we are feared. In silence, we are respected.
2. Detachment from approval is liberation. If guarding your plans and wielding silence are the first two pillars of wisdom, the third is far more insidious, far more misunderstood: detachment from the judgment of others. In a world addicted to approval, likes, applause, and validation, the wise learn the quiet, terrifying power of independence, the freedom to exist without bending to the will of those who will never truly understand us. Marcus Aurelius, a man surrounded by court intrigue and flattery, reminds us, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." To be liberated from this obsession is to take the first step toward true inner sovereignty. The desire for approval is a trap. It chains us to the ephemeral, to fleeting recognition, to the shifting whims of others. When we live for the gaze of the crowd, we sacrifice our authenticity. Every word, every action, every decision becomes filtered through the lens of perception rather than virtue. The Stoic, however, recognizes that no external force can define the worth of the soul. Epictetus instructs, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." The judgment of others is beyond our control. Our own reaction is the only domain of power we truly possess. Detachment from approval is not arrogance, it is clarity. It is a deep, unshakable awareness that respect earned through virtue is infinitely more durable than praise gained through pretense. A wise person acts, speaks, and decides according to reason, morality, and the pursuit of excellence, not the applause of the crowd. We do not perform to impress. We live to perfect the art of life itself. And paradoxically, in this quiet confidence, the world cannot help but notice. The detached, who care little for transient validation, radiate an invisible gravity that draws respect naturally. Seneca writes, "He is most powerful who is strongest in himself." Approval from others is a fleeting shadow. Mastery over self is an eternal force. Consider the subtle dynamics of our interactions. Those who crave approval are easily manipulated. They bend, flinch, and adjust to the opinions of others, giving away their power without resistance. The detached remain unmoved. A slander, a slight, a critique, these pass through like water over stone, leaving no scar because they hold no internal weight. Their presence is unshakable, their dignity intact. The world may chatter, the crowd may cheer, but the detached stand quietly in the center of their own authority. Detachment also protects our peace. To constantly seek approval is to live in a storm of anxiety, of imagined judgments, of constant comparison. By letting go, we reclaim the mind for higher purposes. We are free to focus on virtue, on wisdom, on action aligned with reason rather than reaction aligned with fear. The mind once enslaved by approval becomes a fortress once free. Aurelius reminds us, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true,
do not say it. Detached from opinion, we act according to principle, not the fickle will of others. Yet detachment requires vigilance. It is not the absence of empathy, nor the rejection of social connection. Rather, it is the conscious recognition of what belongs to us and what does not. The crowd's perception is not ours. Their fleeting admiration is not ours. What is ours is our integrity, our reasoned action, and our inner composure. To confuse these is to return to chains. Thus, detachment from approval becomes liberation. It allows us to walk through life unafraid, unmanipulated, uncorrupted. The world may scorn, the world may praise, but neither can penetrate the calm, disciplined mind. And in this liberation, we find a profound, magnetic authority, the kind that commands not through noise or force, but through presence, authenticity, and unwavering self-possession. We are free. We are sovereign. We act not for applause, but because our reason, our virtue, our inner compass dictates it. And in this freedom, we touch a power the loud and the vain will never know. Detachment is not just a strategy, it is a way of life, a path to the unassailable, the respected, the eternal. 3. Embrace the power of strategic silence. We live in a world obsessed with noise. Every thought is broadcast, every feeling displayed, every emotion proclaimed as if the world demands our constant declaration. Yet the wise understand that silence is not emptiness. It is a weapon, a shield, a space of profound power. In Stoic philosophy, silence is not merely absence of speech. It is the mastery over impulse, the sovereignty of thought, and the cultivation of a presence that commands respect without uttering a single word. As Seneca wrote, "Sometimes even to live is an act of courage, and in the presence of the unrelenting noise of life, to remain silent, deliberately, is a greater act of courage than any loud protest." The unwise fill the world with chatter because they are enslaved by the fear of irrelevance. They speak to be seen, to be liked, to be acknowledged. Their words are scattered, uncontrolled, and powerless because they lack the tempering of discipline. The Stoic, however, values thought over expression, reason over reaction. Epictetus reminds us, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." The power of strategic silence lies in the restraint to act only when necessity or virtue demands it, never when impulse or ego demands it. Silence does more than conserve energy. It projects strength. The one who does not flinch, who does not explain, who does not justify, creates a magnetic presence. Others are drawn to the person who speaks little, but whose words are precise, whose actions are deliberate, whose mind is unshakable. In a sense, silence becomes the language of authority. We do not need to prove ourselves with noise. Our restraint proves itself. The world notices the one who is unmoved, undistracted, deliberate. A single well-chosen word carries more weight than hours of idle speech. Marcus Aurelius understood this principle, observing that a man's true measure is found in how he guards his inner life, not how he panders to public opinion. Silence also guards the mind. Every word spoken unnecessarily exposes the self, invites judgment, and often sows conflict. By speaking less, we retain control over our narrative, protect our energy, and maintain a calm that is unassailable. In situations of tension, silence is a shield. It denies the manipulator ammunition, frustrates the impulsive, and reveals to the perceptive that we are not to be hurried or cornered. The noise of others becomes irrelevant when we master the quiet within. Yet strategic silence is not passivity. It is not avoidance, nor fear disguised as discretion. It is the deliberate choice to withhold, to observe, and to act only when the time and purpose are clear. It is an act of patience and calculation. Seneca reminds us that he who is everywhere is nowhere, and by extension, he who speaks without restraint diminishes himself. True strength is measured not by how loudly we proclaim, but by how selectively and powerfully we express. The practice of strategic silence also cultivates clarity. When we do not rush to speak, the mind is free to process, to weigh, to analyze. Insight emerges not from haste, but from the calm observation of the currents beneath the surface. We learn to hear what others miss, to anticipate the moves of the unthinking, to navigate the complexity of life with a mind that remains unmoved by chaos. In a world of noise, silence becomes rebellion. In a world of chaos, silence becomes clarity. In a world that demands reaction, silence becomes power. By mastering this art, we ascend beyond the trivialities that ensnare the masses, cultivating a presence that commands attention, earns respect, and preserves the integrity of our inner life. We embrace strategic silence not out of fear, not out of apathy, but out of mastery. We speak when the moment demands it, with words that cut through the din, words that resonate with truth, purpose, and authority. And in the quiet that surrounds our life, we become unassailable, untouchable, and unforgettable.
4. Master the art of emotional detachment. In the chaos of life, emotions are the sirens that lure the unprepared into stormy seas. Anger, jealousy, envy, fear. They strike without warning, and those who surrender to them are consumed, their judgment clouded, their power diminished. Yet the Stoic understands that the mastery of life begins with the mastery of the self. To live with fortitude, to navigate the cruelty and unpredictability of the world, one must cultivate emotional detachment. Not coldness, but clarity. Marcus Aurelius observed, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Emotional detachment is the key to this power. Detachment does not mean indifference. It is not apathy, nor resignation, nor avoidance of the world. It is the deliberate choice to observe without being consumed, to feel without being enslaved. In practice, it allows us to separate what is within our control from what is not. The world will always offer slights, betrayals, misjudgments, and chaos. The unwise react, they lash out, they crumble. The wise recognize the futility of reacting to the uncontrollable. Epictetus reminds us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. By detaching emotionally from external events, we reclaim sovereignty over our inner life, maintaining composure where others falter. Consider the power this creates. The emotionally detached are unshakable. In moments of conflict, when voices rise and tempers flare, the detached observer becomes the calm center. Others may scream, manipulate, or provoke, yet we remain unyielding, guided by reason, not impulse. Our words, when spoken, carry weight because they are measured. Our actions, deliberate, because they are free from the distortion of uncontrolled emotion.
We do not allow the world to dictate our peace, we hold it with quiet authority. This detachment extends to ambition and desire. We pursue goals, yes, but without desperation, without fear of loss, without attachment to outcome. The Stoic knows that attachment is the root of suffering. Seneca instructs, "He suffers more than necessary who suffers before it is necessary." By detaching from rigid expectations, we navigate life's uncertainties with grace. We act with purpose, but we accept the world as it is. This is not weakness, it is strength. It is the strength of one who is never shaken, never distracted, and never diminished by circumstance. Detachment also fosters discernment. When we are not enslaved by emotion, we see reality clearly, people as they are, situations as they are, opportunities as they are. We are not misled by flattery, anger, or envy. We perceive intentions, motivations, and consequences with clarity that the impulsive cannot attain. In this quiet observation, we gain a strategic advantage. Life becomes less a series of reactive struggles and more a deliberate navigation through the currents of human behavior. Yet achieving detachment is not instantaneous. It requires constant practice, reflection, and vigilance. We must observe our impulses, question our reactions, and train the mind to resist immediate gratification or emotional surrender. Journaling, meditation, and the contemplation of mortality, as Marcus Aurelius did, strengthen this muscle. Each day, each interaction is an opportunity to practice emotional sovereignty. In mastering detachment, we achieve freedom. Freedom from the tyranny of anger, freedom from the poison of envy, freedom from fear and obsession. And in this freedom, we gain a presence that is magnetic, unassailable, and deeply respected. Others may be drawn to our calm, our resilience, and our clarity. We do not need to fight every battle, win every argument, or justify every action. Our life is ours to command, our mind ours to govern. In the end, emotional detachment is the ultimate armor. It is the quiet fortress within which the Stoic walks unshaken through storms, untouched by chaos, and untethered from the manipulations of the world. By mastering it, we step into a power that few understand and even fewer achieve. A power born not of circumstance, but of an unbreakable inner will.
5. Cultivate the silence of the mind. In a world drowned by noise, constant chatter, ceaseless notifications, and the endless demands of others, the mind becomes a battlefield. Thoughts race like wild horses, fears rise like tides, and desire clings like shadows. Most are swept along, drowning in the flood of external voices and internal unrest. Yet the Stoic understands true power is born in silence. Not the silence of absence, but the silence of the mind, a deliberate stillness where clarity, wisdom, and fortitude arise. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." To cultivate this silence is to reclaim life itself. Silence of the mind is not mere avoidance of thought, it is mastery over the chaos of thought. It is the ability to observe impulses, doubts, and fears without being ensnared by them. In every challenge, in every insult, in every moment of uncertainty, we are confronted with the temptation to react, to rage, to panic. The untrained mind surrenders, consumed by noise. The disciplined mind observes, measures, and responds with reason. Seneca reminds us, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. By quieting the mind, we stop suffering before it begins. This silence is cultivated through practice. Meditation, journaling, reflection upon mortality, and conscious attention to our own mental state are tools of this craft.
Each day we confront our thoughts, examine them, and release those that serve no purpose. The trivial worries of others, the judgments of strangers, the fleeting cravings of the flesh, these are distractions that we must unflinchingly let pass. In their place, we cultivate focus, serenity, and an unbroken line of thought toward virtue and purpose. The power of mental silence is most visible in our interactions with the world. The Stoic who has cultivated this stillness walks untouched through conflict. When provoked, there is no fiery reaction, no impulsive response. Others may flail with words, attacks, and manipulations, but we remain unshaken. Our calm is a force. It disarms those who seek to control us, to bait us into chaos. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react that matters." Silence of the mind ensures that we react only when necessary and always with precision. This silence also fosters profound insight. In moments of stillness, we perceive patterns invisible to the distracted eye. We understand human motives, anticipate actions, and see opportunity where others see only noise. Our life becomes deliberate rather than accidental. Our decisions rooted in reason rather than emotion. In this, we gain a subtle authority, an unspoken magnetism that draws respect, not through force, but through presence. But silence of the mind is not passive. It is an active engagement with reality, stripped of distortion. It allows us to measure each thought, each action, against the standard of what is just, what is necessary, and what is under our control. Nothing external can disturb us. Our serenity is fortified by our own vigilance. The world may rage, betray, or disappoint, but our inner fortress remains untouched. In cultivating this silence, we achieve freedom. The freedom to act with clarity, to speak with precision, and to live without the burden of unnecessary noise. It is the breeding ground of self-mastery, the crucible where patience, courage, and resilience are forged. Those who hear the silence of the mind can hear the subtle truths of life. They are guided by reason rather than impulse, and they command themselves in ways the world cannot dictate. In the end, the silence of the mind is the quiet throne from which the Stoic rules. Others may seek power through chaos, through manipulation, through clamor. We require none of it. Our strength comes from within, cultivated in stillness, sharpened by reflection, and fortified by the disciplined mastery of our thoughts. It is here, in the calm, in the quiet, in the unshakable inner fortress that the Stoic walks, unbowed and sovereign, through the noisy world around him.